Hello, I'm Sasha of Sasha Makes Cards, and today it's time for a Throwback Thursday with Kraftin Kimmie Stamps. Today I'm sharing how I made a card using the Good Times and Tan Line stamp set, as well as the Whimsical Winds stencil. This stamp set features 3 main images, as well as a bunch of accessory images, and 3 coordinating sentiments. Now, this stamp set was released last year when I actually first started with Kraftin Kimmie Stamps as a crafty guest designer, so it's very fun to be revisiting it a year later and making another fun summer-themed card with the stamp set. Especially with how hot it has been lately. It's been very hot, so it's fun to pull this stamp set back out and revisit it, and do some fun summer crafting with it. For this card, I decided to stamp the image of the girl in her little swimming tube, as well as the sentiment, high tide or low tide, I'll be by your side. So I stamped that onto a 100-pound hammer mill cardstock using an alcohol marker friendly ink. For this, I am using the Honeybee Stamps Intense Black ink. Then I fussy cut them using a pair of spring assisted scissors and colored them using my Ohuhu alcohol markers. As I'm coloring, I made sure to put the cap of the marker where you could easily see it so that you can see what color I'm using and for what part of the image. There are a couple of times that I forgot to put the marker cap down because usually when I'm coloring, I often just hold the marker cap in my other hand or the hand I'm coloring with. So I tried my best to remember to make sure the cap of the marker was visible, but if at points it's not, I don't think it's too many times actually. I think it only happened once or twice, which is pretty good for me. Now for the coloring, I decided to keep it pretty simple and I used the same color combination for both the hair and the girl's skin tone. However, I knew it was going to be a little too matchy-matchy, and it was. So after I was done coloring both of those sections, I then went in and added a little bit more of a darker color to the hair, so it didn't look like it was the same color combination, but it was. So I just went back in, going from my darkest color to my lightest color, making the hair a little bit darker, kind of giving it the appearance of some natural sunny highlights. After that, I then colored in her eyes with just a black Ohuhu marker. I used the shade or the number 120, and then added some white highlights with a white Jelly Roll pen. This is something I really like to do. I used to never use a white Jelly Roll pen, whatever, but I really like using it on the eyes. I think it adds a lot of life to your stamped images. I use it on people, I use it on animals. I think it makes it look pretty cute. For her swimsuit and the swim tube that she has on, I decided to go with a blue and yellow color combination. I used blue for her swimsuit as well as the polka dots on the swimming tube, and yellow for the swimming tube itself. At first, I wasn't sure what I was going to color the polka dots. I thought I was just going to do yellow polka dots on a yellow tube, but then when I got to that point, I decided it would look nice with the blue polka dots. So then I went back in with the same blue color combination that I used for her swim top to color the polka dots on the tube. I think it's at that point as well, because I was just quickly coloring in the polka dots, that I forgot to put the marker cap down a few times. But overall, like I said, I think I did pretty good at actually showing the colors I was using. Now it's time to create the background for our card. Like the coloring, I kept it pretty simple. I just created an all-over background using the Whimsical Winds stencil. Now I know it's called Whimsical Winds. However, I kind of think it looks like waves. It looks like winds. It looks like waves. In this case, I decided to go with the flow. Pun intended, and kind of make it look like a wavy background. So to do this, I just put it onto the card and started ink blending. I used Salty Ocean Distress Oxide ink, having the ink be darker near the edges of the card, lighter as it gets to the center. Once I removed the stencil, I then lightly ink blended pretty much with the ink that was left over on the brush, a little bit more, again keeping it darker on the outside and having it gradually get lighter as it reaches the inside, or the center I should say. Now, in addition to the sentiment that I stamped from the stamp set that says high tide or low tide, I'll be by your side, I wanted to add a little something else. I wanted to die cut a sentiment and do a little ink blending so that it could nicely match the background I made with the stencil. So I die cut a sentiment that says hugs from, let's see here, the Retro Hugs die set from Waffle Flower. I placed the letters onto a sticky mat and then very lightly ink blended a simple gradient with just one ink color, the Salty Ocean Distress Oxide, to match the background that I had just ink blended using the stencil. And then I couldn't help myself, so of course I added a little bit of splatter. I like to use the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White ink, paint, whatever it is. Use my fan brush, put a little bit of that onto my work surface, spray it with a water bottle or spray bottle, and splatter it using the fan brush onto the card. To finish everything off, all I did was glue everything down. I used my Misty glue press that has the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive in it. And first I glued the Hugs sentiment, then I glued the stamped image of the girl in her swimming tube just slightly on top of the Hug sentiment, so that was in the background, and then glued the high tide or low tide sentiment at the very bottom. And that is the completed card project. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, enjoyed this little Throwback Thursday project, and got some inspiration from it. As always, I will be sure to leave the links to the products that I used in the description, as well as links to my social media if you would like to check me out on other social media platforms. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.